There you go. Ooh, for some reason nothing wanted to work there. And now the screen's black for a second. There you go, now it's back. Ooh, what's it called? It's been roughly a week. Yeah, I think that's about it. It's been a week. I don't exactly remember where we left off. We're officially on door 3, so that means I'm not gonna remember. Actually, I personally haven't gotten past this part in the story, so from here on out, I'm just going off of the vague memory of something I watched someone else play through years ago. But it's past the morning, so it's like about noon right now. I drank my coffee, I ate, I went for my run, and I feel very weak. So here's hoping that that goes through in my reading of whatever's happening. Ergo, like, hopefully I don't biff it hard. But yes, thank you, and let us begin. Got my water, ready to go. I read more this week. That arrow is a rat race of innovation and development. I think this is the maid talking. The smoke was so thick you could hardly see more than a few feet ahead of you. I could compare it to a dense morning fog, but that would give the impression of beauty, and there was little of that to be found in this haze. Did you see the silhouettes of several men in the smoky room? The one in the middle? The one looking at your direction, master? Was the present master of the house. Jacob. I'm gonna read it Jacob, because I don't know. It's either Jacobo, or Jacob. Jacobo, right? His name was Jacobo. And though he dressed in such a fine attire, I sincerely doubt he understood how splendid the furnishing left in the mansion truly were. I'm a faithful servant of this house, and I would not, for the life of me, dare speak ill of my master. However, this is the time long past. I imagine God would be so kind as to turn a blind eye to a little bit of honesty. I was not terribly fond of my master back then. He had wavy hair, the color of over-dried tea leaves, a piercing gaze, an arrogant smile, and he wore a hat that made him look rather haughty. He put his trust only in money, renown, and rank. He loved only the iron and steel that had revolutionized so many industries. He had not the slightest bit of love or care for other people. At the very least, that is what I believed in at the time. Take a look around the room, master. Jacobo had remodeled it into a recreation area. A billiard table sat in the center of the room, and that downward-facing lights hanging from the ceiling were special made. The lights shone upon the dark green stand like a stage. Cigars and bourbon-lined glass cases installed in place of bookshelves. The cases were always fully stocked, with their contents available to partake of readily. At that particular moment, as he had many times before, Jacobo had invited several friends and acquaintances, and they were entertaining themselves. His wealthy, high-ranking acquaintances had a variety of hair colors, from polished brass to the brown of a baby robin to the color of sunburnt wheat. There was also much greater variation in skin tones compared to the visitors of residents of previous eras, but that was hardly any surprise, for the mansion sat upon a land inhabited largely by immigrants of the New World. What's the matter? What are you looking at? Nothing. I just thought I heard someone say my name. Ain't no one there, unless you're seeing a ghost. I don't believe in such nonsense. It's an old house with a long history. Wouldn't be surprised if it had a ghost or two. But if the place is gonna be haunted, I'd take a princess over a bloody brat any day. A princess, eh? And when she showed up, you'd have your way with the ghost lady, am I right? Color me impressed, son. You jump her bones and she wouldn't even get and she don't even got any to jump. Come on now, that's hardly fair. Not much you can do even. Wait. Not much you can do even. The whole "do" is getting me for some reason. Not much you can do with a ghost. My God, are you men or children? This is my house, and I would rather you didn't talk about it like that. Just the blathering of a couple of drunks. Pretend you didn't hear nothing. For the love of God. In any event, whatever happened to that printer you invested in? I haven't heard of their name come up in some time. Can we please avoid that topic? It's been quite the headache for me. I thought I'd pay it off, but it always sounded sketchy to me. I'd recommend you pull out unless you want to find yourself with nothing left but a nice, fat pile of debt. Could have mentioned that beforehand. Ugh, this is killing me. The man's deep voices resonated in the cloudy room. As they imbibed alcohol and puffed on their cigars, they conversed mostly about business and money. Jacobo and the rest of the men were a breed known as investors. You might also call them tacticians. They survived on information obtained before anyone else by making swift decisions and having foresight. Though instead of flesh and bone, their soldiers were made of ink and paper. To an outsider, this meeting might appear to be a congregation of friends, but in reality, they were observing one another, gathering information and anything else they could use to get ahead. At times, money and information were exchanged directly, and when they were no longer of financial value to another, the relationship would pop like a bubble and dissipate into nothing. But you know, Jacobo, you can't be sure this railroad you're so passionate about is going to bear fruit either. You don't even know if it'll get finished. And even if they do connect the tracks, will it really be in any shape for people to ride? It's a pipe dream, this transcontinental railroad of yours. Jacobo went silent, but I'm certain that this was what was going through his head. You're a bunch of damned imbeciles if you can't see the entire country put their weight behind this endeavor. This is why you have so much trouble making even a few thousand. Is this America? At the time, a great railroad was being built across the breadth of the continent. Construction was spearheaded by two large rail companies in competition for both prestige and bigger shares of this massive national enterprise. The Union Pacific Railroad Company started building from the east, and the Central Pacific Railroad Company from the west. But government bonds alone were not enough to finance the massive undertaking. By the way, there have been some less than pleasant reports about workers dying on the job for the company you chose, Central Pacific. You mean how they're using explosives to blast through the mountains? Making quite a bang they are. But if this gets to be much bigger of a fix, they're not going to be able to continue construction. You should at least put your money in the more sure bet of the two, the Union Pacific. It'll cost you to hire replacement workers, and if they keep kicking the bucket, you're gonna have trouble finding more. My goodness. And here I thought you all had spines. You think you're gonna run out of workers just because a few ate it? There's so many who don't even know what to do. There's so many we don't even know what to do with them all. There's not a chance that we'll end up dry. And if by some chance it does, all we have to do is scoop up a ship full of black or yellows. You won't get anywhere if you spend your time worrying about a few measly laborers. This is an endeavor backed by the entire nation. Their deaths are honorable, in service of their country. The biggest loss is not of people's lives, but of time. The longer a project takes, the more money it costs, and the less profit we make. What we seek is rapid progress, even if the methods to obtain it are messy or deadly. The other men in the room chuckled uncomfortably at Jacobo's distasteful choice of words. Do you agree with any of the way he was thinking, Master? Perhaps he does have a point. In that great sacrifice is necessary to accomplish great things. And it is true that tragedy often lies in the shadow of the splendor of times long past. Furthermore, the way people see the world change with times. The way people see the world change with the times, so I hesitate to criticize him too severely. Now, as I am sure you have already picked up on, he was an investor who had put money into the railroad company. He also possessed several crude oil refineries, riding on the world's second wave of industrial development. The mansion too bustled with life, in a way it never had before. Dozens of maids, including me, gardeners, chefs, sculptors, artists. At times, we even had writers coming in and out of the house. There was rarely a moment of silence. However, I was not terribly fond of the hustle and bustle, personally. But please do not get me wrong. I am hardly opposed to the mansion being cheerful. It was just, how should I put it? The splendor of the time seemed superficial, heartless. It was as though everyone was being rushed along by some unknown, invisible force. Part of it was, I expect, caused by the growing divide between those standing at the top and sitting at the bottom. Or perhaps the mansion was simply taking after its master. There's no time to waste. Everything's resting upon the success of this project. Whatever it takes, I will ensure it happens. I need more money and more power. Suddenly, a restrained knock A restrained knock on the door stopped his train of thought. From beyond the door came a woman's voice, gentle as soft as spring breeze. "Pardon me, I have made some tea. May I offer anyone a cup?" Oh, white-haired girl, but in a Victorian-esque dress, I guess. When the door opened, in it stood a beautiful woman with pure white hair. It was indeed her. Are you surprised? Or did you anticipate her appearance? Though she was not the same age and dressed differently, the white-haired girl, whom you saw fall into the hands of misfortune in the era of roses and the era of the beast, was also present in this area of innovation. Furthermore, she was Jacobo's wife. Tea? I don't recall asking for that. When were you asked to make it? I wasn't, but I had all these leaves with the most wonderful aroma, and I thought you might enjoy. Shut your trap and know your place. What do you think we have all these maids for? Hey now. No need to treat your lady like that. She was just trying to be courteous. These are my personal affairs. Please keep your comments to yourself. His friends were unsure how to react, but ultimately nobody stepped up to stop Jacobo. They merely shrugged, tossing glances to one another. Jacobo stopped over to the white-haired girl. He then grabbed her by the arm and dragged her off from the den. What the hell do you think you're doing? I've told you time and time again to stay away from the room unless absolutely necessary. I'm sorry, but I made tea and... Shut up about the tea already. You think you're having tea parties in there like a bunch of prissy nobles? I'm sorry. If you feel so bad, don't go in there in the first place. Get the hell back to your room. I meant no harm. It's just, I'm your wife. I thought it would be nice if I could do something. Like I've told you, that's not your job. Don't show yourself in front of other men. I have nothing else to say to you. Got it now? Now scram. Sakes alive, first them, now you. It's driving me up the wall. What is it? I told you to get out of here. Right, but what? When will you spend time with me next? It's been some time since we last went out together. But we don't even have to go out, or just having dinner together would... How many times are you gonna make me repeat myself, you worthless tramp? Are those ears only for show? Go back to your goddamn room. My apologies. Looking utterly downtrodden, the white-haired girl made her departure. Such a piteous sight she was. As he watched her go, Jacobo merely snorted. Just thinking about the way he behaved then angers me. I have a little fondness for men who do not treat their spouses with respect. So as you can see, the white-haired girl was in a hardly joyous situation. She was devoted to Jacobo and tried to do whatever she could for him, but he not only brushed her aside, he did so in an insulting, deliberately harmful manner. They were far from the picturesque partners. Do you wonder then, Master, why she married him? The answer to that question will come to light in time. For now, let us follow her. Looking down dejectedly at the undrunken tea, the white-haired girl walked alone down the corridor. Though its calming scent filled the air, there was nobody around to have their heart warmed by it, nor was there anyone else to alleviate her loneliness. Despite being the master's wife, the maids who crossed her path in the halls said nary a word to her. As a matter of fact, oh dear, I beg your pardon, ma'am. That's fine. Even one bumped into her, stifling a laugh as she trotted off. In all likelihood, she had done it intentionally. The poor white-haired girl, who had fallen to the floor, stared helplessly at the broken cups. The tea she had made for her husband was forming a stain in the carpet. The maid's behavior toward the mistress of the house was absolutely unacceptable. Nevertheless, it was commonplace, all because of the way Jacobo treated her. The more the man of the house acted cruel to her, the less weight her position as his wife held to the servants. Day in and day out, the maids worked busily, offered little opportunity for leisure, so they would naturally have accumulated quite a bit of stress, and she became the target for them to let off this steam. Not directly, but through a more subdued kind of harassment from the shadows. She must have felt quite miserable. I imagine she would have been better off as one of the maids. On the surface, in front of the others, they showed respect for her as Jacobo's bride, but behind closed doors, they acted very much the opposite. The disparity between the treatment she received around others, the treatment she was supposed to receive at all times, and the way she was actually treated made the abuse all that much worse. And furthermore, as you have seen through the other doors, Master, she was a very reserved young woman. She could neither raise her voice in reprimand nor raise her hand in retaliation. I have to get this cleaned up. She extended her spindly fingers toward the shards of shattered porcelain. But even the broken cup seemed to have no concern to spare for her. Its shattered edge cut her fingertips when she made to pick it up. A trickle of warm, red blood ran across her unearthly white skin. As painful as the sight it was, it had a sort of taboo beauty to it. The blood spilling from her fingers showed no signs of slowing down. She clenched her hand into a fist, let out a sigh, and went back to collecting the shards of porcelain. But when she did, Maria, Madame, what's the matter? Madame, you're bleeding. While all the other maids ignored her, one came running over, shouting to the white-haired girl's side. You need to get that cleaned up and bandaged. Oh, you don't need to pick that up. That's not your job, madam. It's all right, Maria. There's not much to pick up. It is not all right. And the rest of you, why are you standing there? Your boss's wife is on her hands and knees, and you're not even lifting a finger to help her. You disgust me. Maria, it's fine, really. Oh, madam. If you weren't so timid, this wouldn't happen. You're allowed to yell at them, you know. It's all right, really. It's, my fault. Anyways, we should get that finger taken care of. Let's get back to your room, okay? Oh, but the broken cups and the spill. As I said, that's the maid's work. Now come on, let's go. Okay. And the rest of you, get this mess cleaned up. She roared like the wind in a thunderstorm. The other maids stood there dumbfounded, watching as she and the white-haired girl disappeared down the hall. But they were soon frowning and grumbling to one another. She thinks she can act all high and mighty just because the master is fond of her. Ooh, I'm gonna drink water. The woman's name was Maria. She was one of the maids. I'm gonna try reading a bit louder today and seeing if that affects the recording. This music is so jazzy and there's so much speaking in it too that it really is like throwing me off. And she was the one person in the mansion that the white-haired girl could think of as an ally. Though her husband paid her no mind and the maids made her life miserable, just one person, Maria, treated her with respect and kindness. And I'm sure you can readily imagine how much of a lifesaver that was for her. I too found myself somewhat relieved that Maria was there for her. Being a servant of this house, I was also one of the maids working there at the time. However, I was unable to involve myself to any great degree in her fate. This meant that there was little I could do to assist her, even in times of pain and unpleasantness. The best I could do was pray that Maria would come to lend the white-haired girl her hand. Maria, that does it. Thank you, Maria. You're always such a big help. Oh, no need to thank me. I just did what any good maid should do. No one else is in the room, you know. Alright, then I can drop the act. Man, I just can't get used to all this talk and you get used to talking all stuffy. I'm out there doing my best, but the maid's still spouting stuff like that. Your manner of speaking is improper for a servant. Every single time we meet. Eesh, come on, just shove it, would ya? You're a damn creep. Now, you mustn't speak of her like that. Sorry, slip of the tongue. She just kinda gives me the willies, you know? Speaking of, you dropped that stuffy talk too, madam? Kinda awkward if I'm the only one acting casual, you know? This is normal for me. If I attempt to talk like you, I would freeze up out of nervousness. This is my casual. Fair enough. Guess that happens when you're raised well. I like it though, has a very regal feel about it. I don't think my upbringing is the only factor. But upbringing is important. Worth a whole lot of money than worth a lot more than worth a whole lot more than money, I'd say. I suppose. Thank you, Maria. You're always so compassionate. You betcha. They don't call me the Virgin Mary for nothing. I practically bleed compassion. That might be true. You very well could be the reincarnation of the Mother of God. No. You were supposed to laugh at that. It's just embarrassing if you take it so seriously. Alone in the white-haired girl's room, Maria was acting much more friendly and relaxed as they conversed, as opposed to her no-nonsense attitude in the hallway. Two women here, as you can see, are quite close. They had crossed over the wall separating master from servant and built a bond of friendship. And at some point they began to speak frankly with one another when no one else was around. Maria was the only person in the mansion around whom the white-haired girl felt comfortable being open with. I imagine she very much enjoyed these moments of conversation. You wish to know who the headmaid was? My. Are you sure you want to ask me that, master? Some questions are better left unasked for your own good. I have to say, madam, you have the prettiest fingers. Mine are all rough and dry and nasty. You think so? Mine haven't the slightest bit of muscle. They're about as frail as dead branches. Who needs beefy mitts anyways? I still think healthily looking hands like yours are far more attractive. What? What's it like about these things? Women all over the world dream of having hands like yours. Slender, feminine, perfectly cared for. I don't know, just looking at them lights a fire in my loins. Makes me want to lick every last one of them. Actually, say, can I lick them? Can I run my tongue up and down all 10 of those sweet little digits? Come on, can I? What'd you say? Stop that, Maria, seriously. I'm just kidding. Oh, Maria. Alright, how did those tea leaves turn out, madam? The ones you imported. All the maids just adore it. They can't get enough of that aroma. I'd sure like to get a taste. If you end up with extra, do you think you could spare a sip for me, tea? That was, what was in the cups I what was in the cups I dropped? What, really? Well, ain't that a crying shame? And Jacopo wouldn't have any of it? God, why does that man have to have such a stick up his ass? He went through all the trouble of making it for him and... He was busy. It's not his fault. Busy? You mean playing billiards, drinking bourbon, and puffing a damn cigar? It may look like that to us when they're just making small talk, but I'm certain their meeting has some importance to their businesses. It was imprudent of me to try to step into the men's world. That's just not right. I mean, you're his wife. Why shouldn't you be allowed into the room? It doesn't bother me. You don't have to pretend. Here's an idea. How do you like to have some of that tea now? We also have some orange marmalade, which you like so much, and a scoop of that and a tray of cookies, and we have the perfect tea time. You're singing the siren song, madam. We really should be doing all that with him. He would not have tea. I suspect he doesn't like it. I don't want it to go to waste, so... Madam, I know it's none of my business, and I have no place to say all this, but... It's not impossible for a woman to file for divorce these days. You don't have to sit down and take it, not one bit. You're pretty, well-educated, and still young. There's hope, even if you do leave him. There are plenty of other men out there. You aren't obliged to stick with an arrogant jerk. He's just very busy right now. There you go again. There was a time when he was kind. He wasn't like this when we first met. Back then he was a little awkward, but a kind man. Him? A kind man? Yes, believe it or not, there indeed was a time. Say, Maria, would you mind giving me a little bit more of your time? I'll make some tea and we can talk. Alright. If you're telling me about when Jacoba was decent, I'm all ears. Indeed. Oh, reading clubs. Oops. As I'm sure as you are aware, our parents arranged our marriage. Before I immigrated to this country to be married, I lived in a misty island nation. Portraits of my ancestors hung in the house where I lived. I remember as a child wincing in fear at the sight of them staring down at me. My mother and father were constantly telling me to show them respect, as if it was their hard work that kept our bloodline alive and well. However, they were fighting an uphill battle to do the same. It would have been clear to anyone reasonably perceptive that our house was coming tumbling down. Valuable furniture and paintings slowly disappeared, and eventually the portraits were gone too. As our house collapsed, so too did my parents' health deteriorate, robbing us of any source of income. And as though I was educated, though I was educated, I lacked the skills necessary to obtain work. Just as we were about to run out of money and options, my parents received Jacobo's parents' marriage proposition. Both of our families stood to benefit from the arrangement. I had social status and he had wealth. We each had what the other lacked. One needs more money to make it in the world. Without at least a reputable name attached to you, you're liable to get laughed out of most social gatherings. I first met Jacopo here in this country. We didn't even know what the other looked like until our wedding day. To be quite honest, I was scared to death at first. I was so nervous. What kind of man would he be? Was I to be wed to some kind of middle-aged stranger? We were not marrying because we had fallen in love like a normal couple. I knew I was in no position to be concerned with such things, but when I thought about our future, I shook with fear. But the man I saw through my veil at that wedding was remarkable. He was young, had strong masculine eyes, and at the same time, he too appeared nervous. He was shaking so much, no, even more than me. Seeing that, the priest gave an impish little smirk when he asked Jacobo if he vowed his eternal love to me. I counted myself among the happy, and I still do. For in that moment, I experienced true love. You wanted to hear about when he was kind to me? Well, after the wedding, we were given a week to ourselves. I suppose you could call it a honeymoon, though we didn't take a trip overseas or even go very far at all. He looked at me with uncertainty and asked, "Where would you like to go?" Ooh, time skip. I beg your pardon? That's what this week's for, right? I'll consider granting your request, so tell me, where do you want to go? I, this is all so sudden. Nothing? Well, this whole engagement was a spur of the moment. Normally we would have planned a trip in advance, but unfortunately our purpose is served so as long as we act the part. You must be so disappointed that you have to plan your honeymoon as it's happening. No, what? Speak clearly. I don't like it when people don't speak their mind. I'm sorry, but I'm happy, even if this is all a political marriage. Well, you're quite the positive thinker. Your parents say something to make you think that way? Well, either way, if you're so glad to be in this arrangement, then hurry up and decide on a destination. Though there is a limit on how far we can go. If you want to take a trip, I'll consider it. What? Is something funny? It just seemed comical to me that our honeymoon has begun and we're only deciding where we want to go. Not in a bad way, though. I'm glad our parents didn't arrange everything for us. Perhaps you've heard it, but I'm quite sensitive to the sunlight and not in the best of health. So it would be rather trying for me to spend a full week out of the house. We couldn't go on a trip, but if it's not too much trouble, speak up. Could you show me around town? I'm new to this country and unfamiliar with its customs, and I'm rather afraid to go wandering about on my own. Show you around? Yes. Would that be possible? Hmm. On a rare bit of time off, you ask me how to show you. On a rare bit of time off, you ask me to show you around town? Is that really the most exciting idea you have? I'm sorry. If there's somewhere you would like to go, I'm fine with that. I will accompany you anywhere. As if I could drag myself with someone who just professed to being sickly all over the country. My God, I've lost all interest in a trip. Hello? What are you doing? Go get ready now. I beg your pardon? Didn't you want to see the town? You'll show me around? You're the one who asked. Not like I have any other options, so yeah, I'll show you around. Thank you. Don't just stand there, you dullard. Get a move on. One moment. Wait for me, please. Ooh. He hurriedly climbed into the carriage he had called for, a look of frustrated displeasure on his face, and then, as if he had forgotten about me until that moment, he returned, grabbed me by the arm, and led me into the carriage. In retrospect, I realized he was not being very gentlemanly, but I was pleased that he was making an attempt to interact with me at all. As the carriage trotted down the street, I saw so many new things. I had spent most of my life cooped up inside at home, so it was like stepping into an entirely new world. And add that to the rapid industrial advancement currently taking place, I saw men shouting back and forth as they smacked newspaper articles with the back of their hands. I saw corner cafes crowded with cigar-smoking men on break from work. It was like the hustle and bustle of a festival, but every festival has its underside. I also saw overworked men looking like they were on the verge of collapse, drinking water from a spigot on the side of the road. By the way of contrast, I wore fine clothing and had a carriage at my disposal. I imagine every day was a struggle for them just to remain afloat. Had I not married the man I had, I too might have found myself on the street in a similar situation. But it was not relief that spread through my breast at the sight of them. It was a pang of guilt. It felt to me like a life of opulence was wrong, sinful. It broke my heart to know that I was living so much better than them. Jacobo snorted disapprovingly at me, seemingly reading my mind, and then said, "The poor man who envies the rich, covets his wealth, and finds the ambition to make them the same for himself, and the rich man who pities the poor, thinking it's his duty to give them an offering, is of philanthropy. To me, the latter is far more nefarious. Excessive charity will ruin a man, make him come to expect handouts. And then there are those who have the wrong idea of pity, who let themselves fall down the same place, mistakenly believing it will somehow make the poor feel better. What a joke. If you're gonna do anything for them, you might as well encourage them to climb upward, spur in economic growth and the flow of capital. Doesn't that sound like a far better option?" I say nothing, simply smiling and giving an ambiguous nod. He had a point. My sympathy and guilt meant nothing to people who actually experience hardship. If, feeling guilty of my own fortune, I acted upon that pity in the way that he had described, it would accomplish little more than self-satisfaction. He seemed to have seen straight through me to my very core. This was a man who had built his own fortune through investment, which I imagine required him to be rather astute. But doesn't a world where everyone is constantly trying to climb higher and higher sound rather exhausting? I, personally, would rather be in a position where I could watch, if only from a distance, as others climbed. But obviously, I could not say as much to him. Capitalism. It reminds me a lot of Atlas Shrugged type of philosophy. Sometime later, the carriage came to a stop in front of a shop. As I looked at the building perplexedly, he gestured to the door with his chin, signaling for me to get out. Lost and confused, I stepped down from the carriage, and before me spread a showcase behind a large glass window. However, lined up in the case were not precarious metals or expensive clothing, but machines. At first, I had no idea what kind of devices they were. Have you ever had your photo taken before? No, I've had a portrait painted though. Are these machines for photographs? A portrait, eh? Why am I not surprised? I did not mean to boast. Go on, get in. Please, wait for me. The owners came out to greet us with a wide smile as we entered the shop. Well, if this ain't the strangest thing I've seen all day. You bringing in a lady? A real looker at that. Where on earth you'd catch this pretty little thing? She's my wife. Huh? Well, I beg your pardon. I'll be a monkey's uncle. Just goes to show, you never know where the cards may fall. You make it sound like my getting married is some kind of miracle. I always saw you as one to choose money over love, sir. Oh, pardon me. This is inappropriate to say in front of your wife. Do you often come to this shop? On occasion. I need some things here from time to time. I see. There you go, smirking again. What's so funny? We're gonna have our photos taken? Yes? I'm so nervous and excited. I've never had one before. And to have it taken side by side with you? What are you talking about? Pardon? Who said we were getting our pictures taken? And side by side? Please. You're sending shivers down my spine. But this is a photography shop. Hey, shopkeep. The product I contacted you about. Is it ready? Oh, yep. Sit tight. I'll be right out. You, take a seat. There's a chair over there. What? I'm gonna show you something much more exciting than sitting still and waiting in front of a camera lens. Oh. Just do as I say. Okay. I sat down in front of the large mirror, which I presume was normally used to check your appearance before having your picture taken. Sitting before a mirror with someone else present was quite nerve-wracking. Out of embarrassment, I dropped my gaze to my knees, but when Jacobo returned, I was entranced by a curious object in his hands. What's this? Do you know what persistence of vision is? The human eye does not perceive the world 100% accurately. This is especially true for objects in motion. It remembers images for a short time, so if you put a new image in the same place, your eye perceives it as in motion. Seeing for yourself will be faster than explaining it. You see the slits in the disc? Look through the bottom one and into the mirror. Okay. Good, just like that. Bring your head in close. Here goes. Standing behind me, he slid his fingers across the top of the peculiar toy, causing it to spin gracefully, and then... Ooh, we get an animation. So, what do you see? They're dancing. A man and a woman are dancing. Sounds like you're not having any trouble seeing it. Are they dancing well? Yes, they are. It's the most adorable thing. What? Adorable? That's funny. I asked to have it modeled after a ballroom dance. Yes, it is very elegant dance. It's a very elegant dance, but you see, they're small like little dwarves, which I thought was kind of cute. And they seem so close, going around and around without ever letting go of each other's hands. This is incredible. Why does it look like they're dancing? They were all lined up in a row a few moments ago. Goodness, I just explained that to you. It's playing a trick on your eyes. What you're seeing is a lot of different pictures in a short period of time. To put it into words you might understand better, it's an illusion. Your eyes are being fooled into thinking the image is moving. An illusion? But they're dancing. They really are. and they look like they're having a wonderful time. And you're sure it's an illusion and not something else? To me, it does not seem to be. I cannot see it as anything else but two tiny people dancing. That's how it works. Reach out your hand and try to grab them. You won't be able to. You're right. That's a shame. I didn't think you'd actually would. But it's the most precious thing. They look as though they're dancing on top of my palm. I was mesmerized by the strange phenomenon. Pictures were moving, after all. Still images had just begun dancing before me. It was almost as if God had breathed life into them. He had called it an illusion, but I could not grasp that. It was such an adorable, heartwarming sight. I imagined the two were off living in some other world, separate from our own. They looked so happy. I was almost certain that they were off dancing in their joyous world, free from all the sorrow and loneliness and pain of this one. Eventually, the speed at which they danced began to slow, as if they were resting their legs. I almost thought I could hear the sound of their feet with each step. They've stopped. They could dance forever. They don't get tired. I see. I'm amazed such an incredible device exists in this world. It makes me wish I had gone outside sooner. I'm sure someone from a distinguished house as yours has seen plenty of amazing things with your family. Hardly. I rarely ever left the house. I'm ignorant about the ways of the world. If you had not told me, I would have probably never known about moving pictures, the illusion of moving pictures. Do you like it? Yes, of course. More than the portrait you had painted? Yes, I do. The painting was wonderful too, but you can't seem to make up your mind. Go on, tell me, which do you like better? The portrait or this? I like this better. I see. He looks somewhat pleased. Though when it comes down to it, this is simply a trick only a child would fall for. Then I suppose that makes me a child. If it means I get to watch something as splendid as two tiny people dancing, I'll happily fall for the trick. Quit describing it as two tiny people dancing. You're gonna lose your head that far up in the clouds. Oh, I'm sorry. I do not know how else to describe it though. It's a toy called the oh my god, I can't read that. Phenectoscope. Oh, cool, she can't read it either. Or she can't even say it either. Phenectoscope? Oh my god, I can't read it. Phenectoscope. Phonetoscope. Oh, okay, phonetoscope. Phenecus wheel? Close enough. It was invented about 30 years ago. I had the shopkeep made one modeled after the original design. So the shop owner drew this? He did. A lot better than you'd expect, isn't he? Yes, indeed. I'm surprised he could draw something so cute. Say that to his face and he'll go red as a beet. What I'd give to give him a load of that. You should tell him that next time you see him. He's such a sweet man. Despite how he looks, you mean? It's not right to judge people based on their appearances. I'm just kidding. Don't take it too seriously. The shopkeep here loves new technology. That phonetoscope is one such invention that caught his eye. You can trick the eye into thinking drawings are moving. Using a sequence of photos, you can perhaps make it seem as though real people are moving too. And if it becomes possible to show those images to many people at once, these developments could be brought into the options of artists why can I not read this? Developments could be brought into the options artists have to express themselves. Not drawings, but photographs? Yes, photos. By taking hundreds or perhaps thousands of photographs, it would be possible to reproduce the world as we see it. This room, people walking down the street. There's no point in recording boring everyday life though. If you're gonna leave a record of anything behind, it should be the objects and enterprise that move nations. Say, for example, a moving record of the opening ceremony of the railroad. That would be something worth watching. And then, in time, it would expand beyond a mere record-keeping technology and find its way into the hands of artists. Is such a thing possible? You must remain still for a long time just to make a single photograph. Right now it isn't, but eventually it will be. And I'm not simply fantasizing here. Is that so? It sounds so very futuristic. What? Do you want to support people who work on that sort of thing? Is that why you're friends with the owner? It has nothing to do with what my wants are. I merely think that there's money in it. The rich starve for entertainment, and the artists create that entertainment. I have no interest in their pretentious self-expression. I just want their money. What? What's so funny? You look like you're enjoying yourself. Honestly, it's just about the money. As you say. It is very sweet. It's crazy to think he's a bastard now. Alright, let's get moving. Next is dinner. What? We're leaving already? Does that displease you? No, not at all. To tell you the truth, I wanted to spend a little more time playing with the Fennecis wheel, but I could not bring myself to say as much. Reluctantly, I approached the owner to return the wheel. Don't bother. Bring it with you. What? But if you don't want it, that's fine too. Just make your decision quickly. You're making the driver wait. Having said that, Chocobo exited the shop. I alternated between looking at his back and the Fennecis wheel, debating what I wanted to do. And then, with a smile, the owner whispered to me, "You're allowed to keep it, really. Your husband out there had made it as a gift for you." For me? A little while back, he came to my shop asking if I could make a phonetoscope. Now that about knocked me out of my chair. He's a man who almost never asks for favors. He's pretty damn brusque, and he's got a tongue sharp enough to cut steel, but he's not wicked to his core, I swear it. So please, ma'am, be a pillar to support him. In that moment, the Fennecis wheel became a precious treasure to me. We'd only just married days earlier, and yet he had commissioned it for me without even knowing what I looked like. I was filled with a warm, pleasant elation. I agreed with the owner. Chocobo was not a bad man. He merely had difficulty expressing himself. Hurrying back to the carriage, I gave him my deepest thanks. He glanced over at me for a moment, then turned back toward the window and muttered, "Yeah." From there, we went to a restaurant for dinner. You call this a pizza? The crust is an atrocity. It's like I'm chewing on a rubber. How can you wave my country's flag and not serve spaghetti? Do you have any shame at all? This wine is pitifully unbalanced, far too high levels of acidity. Listen to me carefully. The house wine is the face of a restaurant. He complained about every little thing. It was a complete disaster. But curiously enough, I was not all put off by his behavior. When the sun set, the carriage made its way to a nearby hill. The cool nighttime breeze felt wonderful on my skin, flushed from the alcohol, and the light from the gas lamps had a comforting warmth to it. Though Chocobo had complained about the quality of the wine, once he had intoxicated himself, his mood improved visibly. It made him unexpectedly talkative. Looking at the city, a gloomy town that shuts down at night isn't suited to expansion or growth, but this city isn't like that. You can see the people walking beneath the lamps, and you can hear the bustle of them talking. This is a city that still has plenty of room to grow. As they ride the rising wave of the economy, many, many more people will gather here. More people means more money in circulation. More money in circulation means the city grows. Companies are founded and more goods are bought and sold. Will it really change so drastically? It can be difficult to see what's happening from the inside. The majority of people just go about their daily lives, and the next thing you know, things are different. No, I'd wager most don't notice the change at all. Only those with eyes sharp enough to realize what's happening can see success. I cannot afford to overlook even the most minute change. Do you have a dream of some kind? A dream? I'm not sure if it's easy enough to attain to call it a dream. Oh wait, I'm not sure if it's easy enough to attain to call a dream. Others might call it greed or perhaps ambition. Don't laugh now. My intention is to make the world mine. The world? Yes, the world. And to do that you neither need physical strength nor kindness, but money and influence. People have no choice but to kneel before those forces. Why are you so intent on obtaining power? Because I want to change my country, I imagine. Your country? You're aware that I like you. An immigrant, right? I emigrated from an island in the Mediterranean, though not the same island as you. My country is a peculiar place where candor and violence go hand in hand. As a whole, the country is on the poor side, and if nobody does anything about that, I am one but a few of my fellow countrymen who has set his sights on the New World. They are falling far behind in other nations. If I find success here, perhaps that will catch their attention. But if it doesn't, then my country is doomed to collapse. You have so much love for your homeland. My feelings are a little more complicated than mere love, but that's nothing you need to concern yourself with. Well, I have to remember not to get myself drunk around women again. Forget everything I said. It's about time we head back home. Alright, but what is it? Is it alright if I provide you encouragement as you try to attain your dreams? I know my presence is more likely to be a hindrance, but I would like to be there to watch as you trek forward. I suppose. Do as you wish. Thank you. You have my support then, darling. Sent a shiver down my spine, though not an unpleasant one. I am glad to have you as my partner. That is very sweet. I was, without a doubt, happy then. His smile, the things he said, the phonicus wheel he gave me, they were all undeniably real, and those memories gave me the will to wait for the day things go back to the way they were. They allow me to believe. Water break. Ooh, a new difference. I don't even know, commercial break song. Water. Question mark. This is something that actually happened to another maid. She heard about a sound in the middle of the night. A sound like dripping water. At first she thought it was raining, so she looked through the window, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky to cover the stars. Maybe it's a faucet, she thought, so she stepped out of her room into the corridor. Compared to her room, it was unearthly chilly. The maid regretted not bringing something to cover herself with. But that didn't make any sense. Normally the temperature wasn't much colder outside her room. Her night clothes had always been more than enough for the trip to the lavatory. Wondering what the reason could be, she made her way toward the sound. But then she realized something. There were no faucets in the direction she was going. Rather, she was headed toward a hall. The mansion where she served had many halls, but this one was off in the corner of the house, the least used hall of them all. It had a high roof, but not a lot of space, so it was difficult to make good use of. It also had a somewhat heavy air to it, a very curious room. It was the kind of place you might assign someone to clean as part of their hazing. Anyway, when the maid realized what the sound was coming from the particular hall, she, as you might expect, let out an uncomfortable sigh. But there might be a leak, and having noticed, she couldn't simply ignore it, you know? So as she hesitated, she pushed open the door to the hall. There was nobody there, and it didn't look like anything was leaking either. There were no puddles or water stains anywhere to be found, but she could still hear the sound. Drip, drip, getting louder and louder. Slowly stepping into the further into the room, looking left, then right, then left again, she searched for the source of the sound, coming to a stop in the center of the hall. She stood there still, quiet, and then a chilly spot on the nape of her neck. With a little yelp, she reached back to feel her neck, but it wasn't wet. Confused, she slowly, warily tilted her head backwards. And then there hung a bloody skeleton from the ceiling. Maria, that's rich, amazing. Oh my God, you scream like a little girl. Maria, you little. My God, are you men or children? This is my house, and I would rather you didn't talk about it like that. Whose words were those again? Shut your mouth. How do you know about that? Were you eavesdropping? And another thing, I do not care for that sort of stupid, fantastical tale you women love so much to pass around. Because they scare you. You've never been able to handle anything scary, Jacobo. Oh, don't glare at me like that. You're gonna destroy my sides. So, did you come here for the sole purpose of telling me that cheap trip? Acting so tough after just making you look like twice as much of a wuss? Well, I mean, I did make up a good half of it, but the maid really did hear a sound in the middle of the night, and it came from the back hall of this very mansion. Did you know that they say it used to be a chapel? Again, I have no interest in you women's little ghost stories. Is that so? You sure you weren't just scared? Maria. Well, that said, rumors aren't completely unfounded. This is a pretty old mansion, and it had a lot of work done on it. It kind of feels like it's barely holding itself together. Like an old big quilt with a piece from all different time periods. The back halls is one of the oldest patches. There's a huge window there on the far end, and supposedly there used to be a stained glass in it. It was a depiction of an archangel, they say. Such a shame. I wonder when it was broken. If it was still there, it would be worth a fortune. I find that hard to believe. First of all, why would anyone put a chapel inside a mansion? You've got a point, I guess. Now how about you do some actual work instead of just distracting yourself with all this nonsense? I do work, but the other maids can be a bit nasty, you know? Dealing with the other woman is like walking on glass. Am I to blame for that? What if I said you were? Don't give me that look. They're just not fond of me. Simple as that. Nothing you could do about it. Is that so? Yeah, I was talking to the madam, and she was telling me that you used to be quite the gentleman. Were you perhaps actually in love back then? You sure don't act like it. It's so easy to miss. But I guess you're not made entirely out of steel. Just like when you were younger, you're still... Do not speak of that. The past is not worth remembering. It is unnecessary. So to you, the past exists just to be cast aside? Nah, it's not that important. You don't want me to talk about it? I won't talk about it. But your wife? Never mind. I'll leave you be. I have to get back to work soon, or I'll be staring down the head maid's arctic smile. All right. If the fancy strikes me, I'll drive by so we can trade more ghost stories. Maria. What? No ghost stories? No, not that. I have not forgotten those days. But it's not like I'll be off then. Alright. If the fancy strikes you, drop by and we could trade something other than ghost stories. What'd I tell ya? I'll consider it. Goodbye. God damn it. I can't escape anything. So Jacobo and Maria know each other to some extent. Why are you going? They've grown to be so beautiful, such a wonderful fragrance. The scent of roses so calming. I wonder why that is. What would it cause any trouble if I picked one? The maid, Well, hello there. Out there for a midnight stroll, are you? Quite the peculiar hobby, madam. I cannot spend as much time as I would like outside during the day, so I end up coming out at night. I apologize if I startled you. Oh, not at all. There is a chilling, captivating beauty to the sight of your snow-white form standing there in the moonlight garden. I would hardly... what are you doing out so late? I saw a figure through the window. On the slight chance it might be a burglar, I thought it my responsibility to ensure that they did not break in. It was also the middle of the night when the grocer servants broke into their safe. News of that spread quite far. I'm sure you would have heard about it. Oh, but whoa, I can't read that name. Gemesh was in prison some time ago. Dear me, it cannot seem to get out of my head out of the past. Do you intend to give that white rose to somebody? Yes, I was thinking about giving it to my husband. Well, I was expecting he has little fondness for such feminine tastes. The scent of flowers has a truly calming effect. He might find it relaxing when he needs a reprieve from his work. Oh, is that so? You're very kind-hearted. Speaking of white rose, the rose he meant to give you was the same shade of white. Oh, he? But when you touched it, it turned a deep shade of red. Flashback to door 1. Oh, she does kind of look different. There was but a single white rose in the garden, so he was unable to give it to you as he had wished. In its place, he had a decorative rose fashioned for you. What exactly are you referring to? Oh dear, do you not remember? Then I am to assume you've forgotten what happened to the rose accessory as well. He was unable to give that to you either. But that time, because you rejected the gift. I'm not criticizing you for that decision, of course. You had a perfectly good reason for not accepting it. Heartbroken from having lost you, he buried the rose in this garden. Over the years, the roses in this garden withered away, and in their place grew a thick, unsightly nest of weeds. Many years later, the accessory was dug up by a beast, and curiously enough, it had not a speck of rust on it. A beast? You do not remember him either? The foreign man who, through his interactions with you, almost regained his humanity? I'm sorry. I have no idea what you speak of. The only gift I have ever received from a man is my Fenecus wheel, and furthermore, I have only lived in this mansion for a year. While the garden is not as thriving as it is now, it was certainly not in ruins when I arrived. Because I had been taking care of it, yes, but for whatever reason, my hands alone was unable to make it into anything quite as splendid as it is now. Once you arrived and began to work on it, however, just look around. You've restored it to its former glory, to the magnificence of the flax-haired family's time. I promise you, I'm not trying to fault you for anything. Now that I think about it, though, it makes sense you would not remember. Though you still are you are different than before. Different, though, not in the sense that you're a wholly distinct person. Tell me, is your name XXX again? My name is XXX. Yes, but you should already know that. Again? More proof that you are indeed you. Did you know that your current name is pronounced the same as the name of the person you are waiting for? What are you talking about? I have met you many times, and I know of your past, of the events that transpired long ago. I'm telling you the truth. I first came to this mansion just a year ago. Until then, I had never left my country or even set foot out of my house. We did not have any servants either. So, where, then, are you saying we met? This mansion, of course. I'm telling the truth. It was a year ago, shortly after my parents fell in and received an offer for my marriage. I knew something had to be done. I knew it, and I'm telling you the truth. If that's what you remember, then I do not doubt you. But I also suspect I know why you seem so flustered. Are there moments when your memories seem hazy? When it seems like important details have fallen through the cracks? You needn't fret. One day, eventually, you shall remember it all. One day. Very interesting. What the hell is this? A white rose? Did she leave this here? A flower? What does she think she's doing? Is she trying to aggravate me? That garden, that damn rose garden, is the whole problem. Flowers serve no purpose but to deceive. That garden is a sign of weakness. It has no place in this house. I wonder why he's so opposed to roses, or even flowers. Approximately a week had passed since then. The white-haired girl was, as usual, spending her time in her room, reading, staying inside the house. Then Maria barged in. I think I'm gonna end it there, because I'm tired. That was fun. Definitely better reading, I feel like. I will continue it another day. Very nice to see how the story's playing out. Interested to see how this timeline's gonna play out, and how it's gonna go wrong. Well, thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.